Hello, everybody from YouTube land. Alexander Smith coming at you. The reason the title says, is it worth doing a live stream tonight, is because in half an hour's time, there is the usual Friday auction at the Durbans. So I have a few ideas running around my head. I'm waiting for people to come in. There's a couple of I have disappeared. Nobody can see me. Hi, Corporals. I'm waiting for some other people to get in because I'm not doing an auction, but I want to. There's a couple of things I would like to say and get off my chest. It's not bad. It could work out good. But I want to be able to tell a full load of people instead of having to keep repeating myself over and over again. And Decon thought it was funny that he found out that there was a manuscript wrote up, and hi Gemma, and fun enough he thought it was funny, and I seen this at an auction at 710s and decided that I would own it, and it's gone into my collection. That one is not for going back out. The whole idea is to talk about the wheel. That's what I was going to turn around and say. What I'd like to say is the shipping pot fund is still going to happen, but only if you would like to donate to it, because I have come up with another plan. And that's what I wanted to speak about tonight, about the plan, or show what I was thinking and see how I tend to do when I'm trying to do something or an idea. Sometimes what I try and do is get everybody's input into it, because I don't want people to think that it's only my way and that's it. I want it to be all of our ideas as in put together, so that everybody feels that it's fair on everybody. And the reason why I do a Friday night is because I have a moderator who's been with me a long time, and he was a client at first, and he became a friend more than anything. There's no favoritism either, but he ended up becoming a mod. And because that mod works all week, he can't then see a live stream that I decide to do, to take part in. And that is the reason why I usually do picked the Friday night. But the thing is, the Friday night actually goes into the slot where it's just been notified that in 30 minutes time or in 20 odd minutes time the Durban auction's on. So a lot of the Americans that do coins or into coins is all over there doing their normal thing, checking out coins, whatever else, and it goes into my allocated slot, or not allocated slot. I wouldn't say allocated because there's no slot that's allocated on YouTube. You just have to go and do it, and that's it. End of story. But that was why I picked the Friday night, so that the British and the Americans could be in it, so that nobody was left out, because it becomes very upsetting when a member ends up finding that other people, which is up to them to ship out into other countries, and they get upset by that, not being able to buy from other places, because some companies do ship worldwide and some don't, and they tell you what the stipulations are, and sometimes what you do is you email them to find out where they will or won't, but it's their prerogative. And it does become upsetting when you're part of the community and you can't buy from certain people, because there is a lot of nice people on, or awesome people that I find, like Gemma and Captain Jerk and a whole load of others I can mention that are all awesome people, and we all do our own unique thing. Yeah, Gemma, I agree with that. YouTube is changing a lot. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. I don't do auctions, but this whole idea was the whole idea of the wheel was to give something back. And what it is Mum is actually giving me earache at the moment because of the room itself. And at the moment, I'm trying to do 2 projects at the same time, and I've got a mountain of stuff, and decided that maybe it was time to make space, and that was the whole idea behind the wheel. But to save me having to pocket out money for expensive shipping costs, that's why the shipping pot fund was built. But I have come up with another plan, and I'm just waiting for a full load of people coming in. And this is why I'm taking my time, is because there's only 2 years in the chat, and I don't want to keep repeating myself over and over and over again when people's coming, because people will come in and out the stream. And the reason why I decided to do the stream tonight is because this is, or was, my usual time for coming on to do the wheel. But there's going to be a few changes, and that's why I was wanting to talk about it. The changes of what the idea I've got and planned, and show people exactly what the plan is. Because usually I do, because somebody asked about that actually. I've actually took it out the AppMex bag because it was still in the AppMex bag, but it's still in its plastic holder. But that's peanuts. That's a round. I've always had a thing about Snoopy and Peanuts, or Snoopy. Because it's like a white background or a frosty background. But as I'm saying, they're not for first prize. But I'm thinking what we'll do is do minimum prizes or minimum prize for a while, until we can get a full load of people involved in it, so it becomes bigger, and then start doing the first set of prizes, because the slabs is going to make the envelopes or the package slightly taller, which means then it'll end up be small parcels. And I'm thinking that maybe I've not got the channel out far enough for people to be interested in it, for to take part, because that was the whole idea, was to take part. Because I'm buying I'm not getting the coins for free. I'm actually buying the coins, so it's costing me money at the end of the day. So I am subsidising the channel, and then saying, well, I want to give these coins away because I don't need all the coins. I don't need them all. If I buy a full roll, I want to be able to open that roll, no search through it, as in for to find the error in the variety of it. Take 2 coins out that I like out that roll. Take 2 coins out it and give everybody else a coin from it. Because a lot of people like American coins, and some like British coins, and some people like foreign coins. And that's the whole idea, was to put something back on the table. Because that's what people say, well, what have you got to offer? Well, when I first started YouTube, I didn't really have anything to offer anybody. How can you give people information or come up with something that you know more about? I know more about mobile phones, but mobile phones, every 6 months to a year time, things change in that industry, and you've got to keep up on it to know exactly what you're talking about. Because some people turn around and say, "Oh, you're wrong about what you've just said, and this is the way it goes, and that's not the right way of doing that. It goes this way." And I didn't want all that carry on. I didn't want the negative stuff or the negativity. I can't be bothered with the negativity or the drama. I just can't be bothered with it. And I'm like, that's how I picked. And it just happened to be that I bought stuff for an auction, didn't realise that the fever was still there, the addiction to auctions, and then it expired, or it's as if the room has got that much stuff in it. It just exploded out of control, and I'm like, oh my god, because I'm like, when I first started, it was like, oh, it'll only be a wee bit. It'll only be a wee bit. That's what you usually say. It'll only be a wee bit. It'll only be a wee bit, because it's like any hobby. I like that one, Rocky. Ain't nobody good. Ain't nobody got time for that. I know the auctions, so and that's how I sort of was like, well, is it worth doing a live stream? Because the whole thing is, we are going to do that in the corner. We're actually going to start it again. I didn't get it. I haven't got it. That's a bit better. Because that's what I wanted to talk about, the cost of the shipping. But what I'm thinking is, why don't we do, for a little bit, not do the first prizes, because the first prizes are getting bought. their slabs and rounds and stuff that are worth putting on as first place. But what I'm thinking is, we'll do the minimum stuff, so you will get a minimum prize. And the idea I'm thinking of, instead of doing a full package where it's like that, where it's packed full, because the shipping's dear, and I don't know if anybody wants to be involved in the shipping pot fund, because people have put in money for the shipping pot fund, and that's what I said, that money hasn't been touched. I actually, by accident, one night in particular, money came out of, I thought it came out of my bank account, but it didn't. And I noticed the discrepancy in the PayPal fund. And I'm sitting there looking at it and I goes, that's short. I knew it was short and I was like, that's short. I was like, because it's not, it should be this figure. That money's short. So I actually owe it 15, but I was quite happy and prepared to every now and again put a little bit into the shipping pot fund myself, so that there was enough money for packages to go out to different parts of the world. What I'm thinking is, what if we hold that idea off, or hold that off to now, and do the minimum prizes, and what we would do was either, this is what I want to show you guys, either try and get the stuff to either fit in one of them, or possibly that, because I am doing a couple of GAWs tonight and it's actually bigger, slightly bigger, to go into that. What I'm thinking is, if we can manage it, to get it in one of them and try and get it to fit their slot that they actually think, we try and put it through, as in, because when they put it through and they size it up, they'll try and put it through, it's like a plastic placard or a signage, and it's got a hole in it, and the hole is about, at least, it's actually slightly smaller than a letterbox size. It's about, at least about that, be about at least that long. That's what I'm thinking. If we can get it to fit, then maybe there's a possibility to send the airmail instead. And that's what I'm thinking. But I still want to do the other idea, because I like the other idea, because it's tracking. So I know then that I can turn around and prove to somebody, if somebody says, well, I didn't get my stuff, I can prove it did get shipped out here, because that tracking number actually follows itself through the system. But it's actually more expensive doing it that way. And that's why I was like, I'm like, So it means then that packages would need to be held off until I had enough money or whatever to send them out, because they're about, the last time I was sending over to America, the parcels were coming in about between £20 and £25. So I don't know how much that is converted over to American money. And to me, that was quite a lot of money, because I don't mind. The reason why I used to do that's why I used to hold off for the big boxes. I used to say to him, hold my stuff. That was so that I could get a big box, because I would pay for that separate, shipping for that separate. I'd buy the coins for the auction, pay the price of the coins that I'd bought that week, or as in that day, pay that, and then once that box was ready, got a full load sent, because that was costing me like 70. That was either 75 or $90 that was costing me for getting that shipped across. But that was like £14 of stuff. But when I send usually when I send a package to somebody, usually it's like at least about that, because I tend to go like that. I don't even worry about the value. I go into the box and I go, right, I'm going to send that, and then I go, right, that's worth sending that, and I take a handful of this and go that, put it like that. And people's like, oh, you really have a heart of gold on you. They're like, you go over the score. I like doing that. I like going a bit over the score, because I like a package where somebody opens it and they go, wow. Do you know, as in it's like getting a kid something that's never had before, and it busts the package open and you see the face, and it's like, as in the eyes just, it's as if they're lit up like Christmas tree lights, and it's like that. That's the way I like things. I like that expression come out, and people's like, I can't put any, it's as if they can't put any words how they feel about that package being sent. Because sometimes I do it out of the goodness of my heart. I'll pick somebody at random. There's been times where I've picked people at random. I'll pick somebody. I don't even go into like I put it into a hat. I just pick somebody that I might, as in that I seem to be comfortable with, or somebody that I know for the community, and I'm like, and then people go, I'll say to somebody, can I get your email address? And they'll be like, what the hell are you doing? And I'm like, trying to not tell them, I'm like, look, can I get your email address or your actual address so I can send something? And they're like, but what you up to? And I'm like, I don't want to tell you. Don't want to tell you. I don't want to spoil that surprise. Don't want to spoil it. Because that was the whole idea, to put something on the channel that was enjoyable for, not just for me, for everybody else. So we all had a bit of fun and a laugh and a carry on. Because that's what I liked about the community when I first came to it, was the fact of being taken in by the community and felt welcome in it. And I think that's where it's I sort of get this overwhelming feeling in it, and it brings tears to my eyes every time I think about it, because made to feel welcome, it's as if they gave you a place and said, right, your spot's there. And that's how it feels to me. And that means a lot to me. That means a lot to me, for that to be done and make me feel that I actually belong in that community. And that's why. Because a lot of the people that I do know are from other communities that I've been with, and there's been no drama at all with them people. They might have split on their own separate ways, and then I've met them in other communities, and I'm like, are you stalking me? And then I was like, well, I better not say as in that to them. I was like, well, why are you here? Or I haven't seen you here before. And they're like, and then eventually they've come out and said, I actually collect, or I actually do this as a hobby. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, I didn't know that, because I tend not to try and get into people's personal issues or what they've got on in their own family, or their issues outside of YouTube. I want to find out about that person as a person and know them from the minute I meet them. That's it been told saying that the Durbins are live. And that's up to you whether you go over there or not. But I'm sort of like, well, there's only one person watching, and I'm like, do I carry it on or do I not? you're right, Rocky. I totally agree with you, mate. I totally agree with that. I know I've always been a straight shooter, but you're right. The amount of scammers out there, as in because the internet's become a scary place, especially even within YouTube. You have all these like porn dating sites and all that coming into the chat, and you're like, where the hell are they coming from? But it's just basically traffic, as in it's traffic through the internet, because there's everything on the internet you can ever think of. You used to call it the big black web, or the dark side. They used to say there was a dark side of the web. There was a dark side of the web, which is true. There is a dark side of it, and it doesn't take a lot to find. It doesn't take a lot to find it. All you have to do is put it in words, and you'll find it. Put it in words, and you'll find it. It's amazing. And you go like, I didn't know that was there. Yeah, it's there, alright. As long as it's legal. But then you're talking about, as in, like, over here, it's like cannabis is still not legalised yet. Over your neck of the woods, it's been legalised because they want to now tax it. And it was the same like when it was the same as when alcohol was prohibitioned, and it was like they called it bootleg or moonshine. I'm fine. And once the government legalised it, then that's when they taxed it, and they were like, this is fine. And it's the same as cannabis, as in it's not legalised in some of the countries. Monkey, I'm thinking of doing the wheel again. But what I'm thinking is that we do the minimum prices, until I build up. Because I'm thinking, I really want to build up the following. I want to build up like our American side plus the British side. But the British side, it's like I'm lacking on the British side than what I am the American side. And I'm like, I'm trying to figure out what you guys would like in a package. Because people are telling us, like somebody says to me the other day, I think it was Free King. Free King goes, foreigner? And I was like, well, what do you mean by foreign? Because you've got like Canadian. If it's not American, you just call it foreign. So I'm like, well, okay, right. So I was like to Free King, I was like, well, do you mean the British coins, or do you mean just foreign in general? And he's like, well, just do videos of foreign stuff. But that was the whole idea, was to join the British and Americans up as in together, so that we're all getting something for each other. As in, because I know that you guys are out looking for like the coins that sank in the British waters and all that car on, for way back the ancient times. And they're lying in different places of the world. It's trying to find them. Because it would be nice to see because I sort of know what's going on. Like when you send stuff to PCGS and Annex, that's all documented. So basically it's like a digital, everything will end up being like a digital library. So once you guys have found it and it's actually went into heritage auctions or Annex or PCGS, it gets documented into a book, or as in PDF format. It gets documented, and it means it's in that book for good. So that information is digitalized on record. Rocky, sometimes I bought stuff that's not even silver. I'll buy anything that's nice. It's got to be nice. It's like my dad had this thing, right, a way back, right? My dad bought and sold for years, and my old man knew what he was doing a way back. And he's like, presentation, and he was always on about presentation counts. But I don't clean coins. I leave them the way that they come in. I never touch, or I try not to touch coins. I try to not manhandle them as well. I put gloves and everything on so that I don't put fingerprints or anything on the coin itself. I try not to manhandle it many times over a coin. So but I wanted a private collection which I was able to show people and go, because when you say to somebody, I've had that, sometimes you get this feeling that they don't believe what you're saying to them. So if you can actually show them evidence and go, look, there's one I've got, and if they go, well, can you get me that, or can I buy that off of you? It's nice having one as a spare for your own collection. Or if you don't have it, you can say, well, I got it off of such and such. I can give that person's, because that's the whole idea, was give other people names out, because that's what it's like in business. You sort of, a lot of people are like, I want to keep the business to myself. You're getting nothing. You're not even getting anything from me. But there's other people that go, I'll send you customers on, or clients, send you clients. And they'll go to such and such, see that person for such and such. I haven't got it now, I can't get a hold of it, or it's not available at this present moment, but I know who has one, or I know who has a full load. And that was the whole idea, because that's what we're supposed to me, that's what YouTube was about. I seen something that I didn't know nothing about when I first started YouTube. And I started wanting to know the do's and the don'ts on YouTube itself. And I asked some of the older generation, as in even before I started doing coins, because I wanted to get a feel of what YouTube was about and how it all worked. And the reason what you don't and do, you do and you don't do, and what you say and what you don't say. And that's what I thought YouTube was about, was growing a community as a family network. And that's all I've done. That's how I built the channel up to 1K, because all grown organically. But it took me like 3 years of building it. 3 years. And I've got all the best people that you could ever wish for, that are loyal supporters on this channel. And I'm like, that overwhelmed me, as in having all the people, as in like Gemma, Captain Jerk, You Dizzy 1969, Hazy Days, Drake Welsh Outdoors, Luchi Cabiabla, can never get his name right, the way it's done. Etard Adventures. As I'm saying, there's many people I know that I followed in the past, and they've actually decided, well, since you support me, I'll press your button. But although they don't turn up all the time here, they still support the channel and they still watch it. And that's what I love, actually answering the comments. No, Rocky, because no, not really. No, lately. I do know that Ozark keeps in contact with him. So I did ask Oz, I think about a week or 2 weeks ago, and Oz says that everything was okay with him. That's what because I did tell him, I did email him and say to him, well, can you keep at least one of us knowing how you are, so we know you're still alive. Because that's the worst, as in you don't see somebody and you think, and you start worrying about them and you think, are they actually alive? Are they actually dead? Or are they still about? And what are they actually up to? No, because I know he was on it about. He was. See, I don't like putting out somebody's personal issues or something that somebody else has talked to me about in an email or whatever. I like it rather coming for the horse's mouth, but I know that he didn't have a place as in the last time, and he was kicking about from place to place, and that's how he decided that he wasn't doing coins. He just sold up the coins because he was moving about. He didn't have a permanent fixed abode, and that's why he done the moving sale. Because he was doing a full load of boxes, and I was stupid enough to assist him about waiting for the invoice and that. Exactly, Rocky. Exactly, that's what I get. I'm like, I get worried about a person if I haven't heard from them, but then I spoke to Oz, and I know that Ozzy's got his some people within the community have actually got his actual telephone number as in his actual mobile number. So they do. There is people that text him from time to time, and I don't like his odd jumping in. As long as one of us knows, as in he's okay, because it's nice to ask somebody and say, have you heard for such and such? And I know why you've done that, Rocky, because you probably turn around and say, well, it seems to have a lot of stuff. I did buy a lot of stuff, but I tend to sort of, I'm one of these people that how do I explain it? I'm like a loner. I do my own thing. I don't get involved with people. I try not to get too involved with the person or try and sort of as in get sentimentally attached, because I get emotional when as in it's as if the person goes their own way, and I'm thinking, what have I done to you? Have I done something to you? And then I'll email them and say, by the way, you haven't talked to me for ages. Have I done anything to upset you? He did get monkey. He was spot bang on. That man is not. That's one thing. He's not a liar, and he did get lost, because even mine's did. My last box went missing as well. But it was partially. I would say it was partially my fault as well, because I was waiting for the invoice sheet, which you usually, because what you used to do was you used to invoice me the sheet as in the shipping, how much it was, and then I would just pay it. I'd pay it as soon as he sent me an invoice, and he couldn't go on his main computer, and I was stupid enough to leave it, and he messaged me and says, by the way, Alex, says, I've got some bad news for you. I says, what is it? And he's like, I've lost your box. It's disappeared. It's mysteriously vanished. He says, I don't even know where it is. He says, I know that I didn't send it out because you never, as in I couldn't send you it out because I didn't have money to send you it out. He says, or I would have. And he was really cut up about it. And I was like, look, if you want to, I put an email back to him and says, if you want to pay me back, as in if you think that you want to pay me back for what I've lost, that is entirely up to you. Because I wasn't going to put that, like, it felt to me like when somebody's down the luck, why would you start hassling them about what they can't afford to give you back if they owed you something by rights? And I was like, I'm not forcing that man's hand up his back or whatever. I'm not going to make it a big big song and dance about it, because I was like, that man has done me a lot in the 3 years we've been dealing. I've got some of that stuff well under her. To me, I would say wholesale cost. So there's still slightly a bit of profit, a bit of profit in it. Monkey, that's up to you. Monkey, that's up to you to email them. As in, if you feel that man owes you something and you want to claim that back, that's totally up to you. I'm not saying you don't. I'm not saying you don't do it. I just didn't want to, because I felt maybe the man is down his luck now. Maybe when he gets back up on his feet, he might sort it out. He might sort it out. I don't know, Monkey. I don't know why you guys have left it that long, or left it as long as this, to actually say anything about that, as you've just said in the chat. Yes, okay, he made me a moderator. I didn't ask to be a moderator. He done it himself. If you paid by PayPal, you should be able to get it back. If you didn't do it, friends and family, because the way that Lemonhead always worked before the moving sale is he always worked as in his goods and services. So you should be able to claim it. If you paid by goods and services, you should be able to claim it back, because you've got what they call buyer's protection. Because I don't want anybody, as in as Rocky's just said, as in Lemonhead's a really good man. Exactly. I don't want to badmouth that. I don't want to badmouth Lemonhead, because I don't want to fall out with anybody, and I don't want this community ripped apart, because I felt that was the case with Justin Busman after the carry-on last time, and I put it out there, and I didn't want to put it out there, but Jeepman is like, I let it put it out there. He's like, do me a favour, if that's happened to you, put it out there, let other people aware of that situation. But I didn't want as in like a rift within our community and it rip it apart, as in, because a lot of the supporters that followed Justin Busman also supported me as well, and I was like, I don't want this to happen, because I saw it happen to Small Engine Nation. I saw it rip apart, as in front of me. And it really upset me, and that's why I walked. Even Craig Durbin was made as in the role model. As in he was the godfather, but it wasn't nothing to do with Craig. Craig was appointed that as in Small Engine Nation. I don't want Monkey to fall out with me as well, because as in thing, because I'm friendly with Lemonhead. I don't say things, and if you say to me in an email, I don't want this said, I try not to say it. I try not to let it bother me. But when I get into people's personal issues or their disputes with people, that makes me feel like, what do I do? I feel as if I'm pig in the middle, and I'm looking like I like that person, but also like that person, and I'm like, what do I do here? Do I say anything? Do I not say it? I'm like, do I say something? Do I not say something? And I'm looking at the two of them, and I'm thinking, the twos are actually in the wrong. The twos are in the wrong, and I'm like, what do I do here? because I don't want to have to feel like I have to take sides with other people. As in, well, he doesn't like him, but she doesn't like, and she doesn't like her. Because that's it, and you're like looking at the two of them, you're thinking, but I'm friends with you, but I'm also friends with you as well, or I like you as a person. I sort of get what you're talking about, Monkey. I felt as if that's what had happened to the community, but nobody was saying anything. It was like as in could feel this vibe within it, but I couldn't work out what it was all about or what it was over. And I was like, just don't say nothing now. Just don't say nothing now. I'll just hope it'll come out itself. Just it'll come out itself. And I knew that it was coming. But I didn't know that that's partly because I never got anything off the Lemonhead for free. I always paid for it. I paid for everything. I never asked them for anything for free. And I'm the same with Joe Durbin and the Durbins. It just happened that Dave turned around and said, we can't hold on to your, as in, you can't, as in, because I was shipping stuff to them, as in, I was buying off other people in the community, and they were holding it for me, and then they were repackaging it and sending me over, and they says, we can't do this no more, it's got out of hand, we're not a holding facility, and I was like, that's fine. That's fine. I put my hands up. If somebody gives me a feasible explanation and says, look, I don't want to do this no more, and I've not appointed them, they've appointed themselves, and somebody says to me, I can't do it no more, I'm like, that's fine. I'm not going to hold you. I'm not going to start as in bad mouthing. I'm not going to start bad mouthing you and saying this and that about you. You've explained it in a nutshell. I'm quite happy with that reasonable explanation you gave me, and I'm not going to fall out. I'm not going to fall out with you, and I just leave it at that. I'll leave it at that, because I've not had it easy as in going through YouTube, as in my different communities, and walked into something and they went, he's at fault. It was him that done it, and I'm like, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. No, you done it, but you're blaming me. Because I remember the time where Gemma Grace, she'd been in the chat, as in there was a time where we were with another community and Gemma wouldn't talk to me. And I was like, what have I done to you? But I don't talk about what happened in the past. I tend to move, as Monkey just says there, I tend to move on, because I don't want it affecting me in any way or other people in any way, so I tend to move on. I do what I'll have to do. But I can understand where he is when he's saying about living paycheck to paycheck. I've been there. I'm just fortunate because of, as in Dingme, because I actually get a little bit more help, as in from the government, as in, and because I don't smoke, I don't drink, I'm able to afford the wee bit extra, which I never was able to a way back. I tried building a business with my father. My father had an alcohol problem. I just was fortunate that I didn't have it didn't jump genetics. We tried helping my father and my father wouldn't. I don't see why Monkey should walk away from everyone, because it's not everyone that's at fault. If you and him have got and a grievance with each other, you should speak to each other as no go through others. Goes directly to the. I do the same. I go directly to the source. I tend not to try and air it out on YouTube unless it gets to an extreme where I have to do it because I can't speak to the person or this person won't speak to me. I have heard things or I've been told things, but I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get into it. I'm not want to put it out in here either. Certain things that I've been told, as in people's came to me in Messenger or whatever, Facebook Messenger, and I'm like, I feel uncomfortable with this. I'm like, you're telling me as in this, that, and the other, and I'm like, I don't want to know. I don't want to know because I don't want to get into it because I don't want to have to be that piggy. I've been there before, piggy in the middle. I've been there before, and I'm like, I hate the feeling. It's like one person shoving you to the other person shoving you back to the other person, and you're like guys and in the middle of it, and he's telling him what. I don't even think the thing where I'm like, do I actually do the wheel now? That sort of put me in an awkward sort of situation when monkeys come up and said that. Because I understand, I do understand how monkey sees it. I understand. Because that's why I stopped doing the Friday live stream as in with the wheel, because I felt it was interrupting Friday's auction for it to go to Durbin's to get stuff. And this is monkeys said it's not about Durbin's. He's mentioned because a certain name was mentioned, which I knew that something would get said. I lost money too. I just sort of, I was like, I'm not going to keep going at it. Because he's just going to, it's like when you start pressurising somebody, they're going to tell you, go and take a fuck to yourself eventually. That's what they're going to turn around and tell you, because you're pressurising them, you're putting added pressure on them. You have to get that money to me, you have to do this. I didn't want to do that till I'm in heads. Because I know what it's like to be at rock bottom. I know myself what it's like to be at rock bottom. To hit fucking the ground. And there's stuff that's said and sometimes in confidence, and I tend not to put it out there, or somebody else that's speaking to me and then he knows it's somebody else, and they'll say to me, do you know such and such is in a bad way or whatever? And I'm like, well, what do you want me to do about it? I can't fix everybody's stuff or fix everybody's issues. I wished I could. I'm like, there's 3 people watching, and Ali Mac usually goes live on a Thursday. Ali Mac must have happened on Thursday, and when he's also live tonight. There's a few people that are actually live as in the Friday. And that's why I stopped doing it, because I couldn't get the timing right, because I was thinking about rescheduling the time, or not the time but the day, rescheduling it. I was thinking about it. I didn't want to keep, because I don't want to make a issue and make people think, well, he's a drama queen, he's always fucking this drama all the time. But it seems to be it's like the one that I done. There's a video. It's actually on Mother Channel, and I was going down to see somebody, and I was doing a surprise visit, and I didn't quite make it as in where I was supposed to go, and there was a confrontation with Metropolitan Police, but you don't see me panning the camera around to the Metropolitan Police. You can hear them behind me, me talking to them, and to me that's it seems to be. It's as if as these problems occur, and it always seems to be me, and I'm like, why is it always? I'm thinking to myself, why is it always me? Why is it always me? Why does this always happen to me? That I'm involved in an altercation or whatever you call it. I feel I feel that's a shame for Monkey, but like he's saying there that thing I never did and use Zelle with my bank. It's that fact he said on it, I have to walk away. Everyone has their own issues. It's like as if he's saying, well, I have to walk away from everyone. So basically what he's done is he said to walk away because everybody else is doing their thing or doing what they want to do, and Monkey seems to have hit hard times, or that's the way it sounds to me, or the way it's coming over. But then I understand where he's saying, as in where he's saying about the living paycheck to paycheck. I understand that, as in about that there. Okay, I'm saying this, I'm walking away. I live paycheck to paycheck and spent nearly $400, which is a lot of money. It is a lot of money. I never got anything that was and is massive to me. I sort of get that, but that's what I'm saying. I can't take it out of my pocket because I'm not going to get paid it back for that person that owes him. And I don't own nothing that belongs to him, as in that he gave me for nothing. I bought and paid for everything that I've got off of Lemonhead, or I've had off of Lemonhead. And I didn't get the last box. But I felt that I was partly to blame because I should have went ahead and just paid the shipping, and the box would have come, as in the box would have been shipped. Because Lemonhead will only ship it when he's got payment for the shipping. And it wasn't just like a wee box of stuff. It was the box that Monkey bought was quite a big box. But then I gets an email saying that he's lost his clothes and this as in something else. And I was like, well, I don't want to feel that I have to hear that out there. That it should come out as in Lemonhead's mouth on his own live stream saying, well, this has happened, and explain it if he wants to explain it. Because why does people need to explain things? Why does somebody need to explain things all the time? I only explain things to make it simple for everybody to understand, because people go, I can't understand a word you say, because you go so fast. I do my own thing on my own channel, but my own thing on my channel is my channel. It's not everybody else's. It's not everybody else's channel. As in to come to me and say I've had a problem with this person and that person can. To me, it's as if to somebody saying, well, "Can you sort this out?" Instead of them emailing you and say, "Look, is there any chance you can speak to the person or say that tell this person that I'm looking for them?" And then so that so that you've given them recognition, and then you go back to that person and say, "I have spoke to that person," as in told them, "Yeah, you want to speak to him." What somebody else wants to say to somebody else, I don't want involved in it, because that's what happens. And then there's 3 people involved, and then there's 5 people involved, because this is what happens when stuff is aired out into YouTube society. End up everybody that shouldn't be involved in it gets involved in it, and then everybody's squabbling against each other. And that's the part that upsets. That's the part that upsets. That's the part that really that's the part that upsets me. That's the part that upsets me more than anything. I'm gonna go, guys. Anyway, there's only 3 people watching. As I'm saying, I'm away. I'm gone. I've done. There's no point in doing it. Doing that. I've said what I've to say about the envelope size. That was the whole idea, because I was like, I wonder if I can change this up or whatever, and manage to. Maybe there's a way of managing it, as in I could. Maybe as not cost myself a lot of money, but still manage to send stuff out. That was what I wanted to talk about. That's exactly what I wanted to talk about. How everybody else felt. Did everybody else feel the same as I did about it? Because I never said to anybody, you have to pay into shipping pot fund. I says, if you would like to pay into the shipping pot fund, then everybody was welcome to do so, as in as little or as much as they could afford. Because the whole idea was to cover the shipping cost. That was the whole idea of the shipping pot fund in the first place, was to cover the money for the shipping pot fund, or the shipping, is so I could ship stuff out to them that they won. Because that was the whole idea, to give something back. I felt that I didn't have content. The only way for me to have content was to do coins, or do something with it as a hobby, or something that I enjoyed, for everybody else to enjoy it. Because that's why it's called YouTube. It's about you, not about other people. If other people enjoy what you do, it's worth putting it out there, as in that stuff, or put stuff that you know about, that you have enough information or more information about that certain subject or certain topic. And that was the whole idea, was to me to have content for the channel. And that's why I done coins. But I also do mobile phones. I do cell phones. I do cell phones, as you call them over in America. You call them cell phones. We call them mobile phones over here. I do it as a hobby. I've always done it as a hobby. I've know very little about coin, but I do love looking at coins, and I do love looking at different items or different artifacts, looking at them and actually being able to hold them or see them up close and personal, so I can understand it more. But as I said, I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to say bye to everybody. Leave studio. I was going to leave studio, and I think, no, it's in broadcast. Been ages since I've done this.